If you're watching this recently, then you know I just put up a video of my Shoei GT Air 2. I also have a carbon fiber X-lite helmet, but you're here for my Arai.
All products discussed in my videos are unsponsored. This is just my personal experience with these helmets over a certain amount of time. Your mileage may vary.
Welcome back to Kairu Rider, and here is the Arai Tour Cross 3 as it's known in Japan, or XD4 as what most of you know it around the world. I don't know what the difference is between them besides the name. As far as I can tell, that's it. It's just a name difference. I originally bought this helmet because my Shoei GT Air 2 is a bit hot over 30. And if you know Japan or you've been to Japan, you know above 30 Celsius is a pretty common event in the summers. So for about 32,000 yen, that's a little over $300, I bought this brand new last fall. Make no mistake, fall is still hot in Osaka, though I am now in Tokyo. I have had this helmet just around a year now and about 20,000 kilometers. As for the art, this is the Arai sticker on top. It came with it. I put a climb sticker, so let that foreshadow my riding gear video when that comes. And you can't see it as perfectly with the visor on, but it's a bunch of stickers, One Piece, Japanese stuff, Dragon Ball, random things, a little joke about Osaka. Green means go, yellow means hurry up. Red means be careful, and if you've driven in Osaka, it makes sense. And then here's Pokemon, Ninja Turtle, Naruto, all kinds of stickers. You can pause the video and look around if you want. A hidden climb sticker, and this side, more stickers, more stickers. What I did was I took the idea of pinstriping and the Japanese idea of sticker bomb, and that's why I keep getting white helmets. Other than the art, let's go through the features. Like my last video, we'll go top down. So the first and foremost is the visor. The visor can pull up and smush down. And it's amazing. It goes on the fly. Some people say at high speeds over 110, 120, the visor will vibrate up, especially on a naked bike. That hasn't happened for me. I've ridden my wife's SV650 at allegedly 130 kilometers an hour. No problem with this visor. It's a completely naked bike. It blocks out the sun perfectly. It's actually really amazing, even in fall where the sun's setting just before 6. It keeps the sunset out of my eyes enough if I tilt my head one way or another, and it raises up if it's the sun straight above me and I just want to get a good view. So after that, I have to push it down to show you. Here are 2 in and out air vents. So button forward, it's closed. Button open, it's open. And then you have on the back, here's another air vent. All the way out, it's open. In the middle, so. Over here, it's closed. That's to let air out. And I pretty much leave them always open because that's when I ride this, is when it's hot. These are great for airflow. They are very cheap plastic by design. According to Arai, it's a perfectly egg-shaped round helmet because that reduces friction and torsion on your neck or anything when you crash. It helps with concussions, and you don't want anything to grab on. These are so cheap that if you see here, I dropped it from about this height. That's what happened. But that lets you know that it'll be safe in a crash. These can pull right off. I'm not going to do that right now because they're annoying to get back on. That's the upper vents. And now let's look at the front. You see here's 2 more vents on the brows that open and close. They do make a difference. They're not just some catchy thing. Again, they're quick break off. This opens pretty high. Forgot a glove in there. This opens good enough. It closes pretty good. And to snap it shut, if you pull just one side, like my Shoei, you have a bit of trouble. You need to pull it quick, and then it snaps by pushing it in. It doesn't always snap perfect. And there's the snap sound. It has a pin lock, which that's difficult. Generally, Arais are good pin locks. My wife has an Arai. It's more of a standard type helmet. The pin lock, when you put it in along those spots, you will notice it's smaller than the visor. And what's worse about that, it doesn't even come with the helmet like my others did. At least it's an option unlike some of my cheaper helmets, but it costs 2,000 yen, just under 20 bucks. It's a bit too small. It does the job, it keeps you visible, but for that I might as well just go back to my Shoei because that's a bigger pin lock on a smaller visor. Go figure. And I don't know if you can see, but I'll try to help you see with this on. So if you see this little scuff here, and then there's a matching one over there, that's the pin lock. When you have the pin lock in, if you open your visor, as people do, you will scratch your helmet. It's possible I put it in wrong, but after I put it in 5 different times, still scratching. Never happened on another helmet. Maybe that's why it's sold separately, and I think it's because of this vent. But before we get to the vent, I want to talk about screws. The good, the bad, and the queen. The bad side, obviously, is if you wanted to change out your visors. For example, I have a tinted visor, and I took the peak off. And here, I'll throw up some pictures right now. This is what it looks like with the tinted visor and no peak. It's really nice. It's really awesome. Great airflow. Maybe 1% quieter without the peak. Nothing noteworthy. But to change things out, you need to use screws. Whereas I didn't show in my Arai video, but it's just a quick on-off. It's even quicker on my X-lite. It's ridiculous. But you need the screws. And if you don't tighten them enough, everything's loose and moving. If you tighten them too much, they're plastic. And you can see on this one, it's getting pretty chewed up by the coins I use. And again, that's by design. It's not a fault, it's not a negative, it's a design point to say this will rip right off in a crash. Because this getting caught on something in a crash, if you have one that doesn't break away, that could snap your neck. So this is again by design. The downside of that is also means your visor comes ripping off in that crash. But if you want to take this off and you want to take these off, remember the pin lock sold extra 2,000 yen. This is sold separate. This cost me 8,000 yen, somewhere between $70 and $80. But these only work with this. You want to get rid of it and ride with a clear visor and no peak, you need to buy these. These were $500 for a set, and it came with extra screws. These let you ride without the peak. And again, that's extra stuff. So as cheap as this was, it really cost the same as my Shoei. The stickering was quicker. It was only 20 hours versus 30 of hand drawing. Go figure. Let's stay with the visor real quick and talk about visibility. If you wear a helmet like this, if you wear an adventure helmet, if you wear something with a big visor like this, it'll ruin something like my Shoei or any standard helmet because it's so much wider and it's closer to your face, so you can barely see this part over your nose and you can barely see up here. You can't really see this when it's all the way up. There is a caveat, but essentially this is nearly an open face helmet with a full face protection, and it's awesome for that, especially in city traffic where you need to see everything. There's nothing wrong with the Shoei's visor, but once you've had this, you notice the lacking of the other. It's kind of like if you grew up in a rural part of the USA, there's no bicycle lanes. Okay, well, why would I ride my bicycle to the store? But once you've lived in a city or a European or Asian country, the lack of bicycle lanes ruins parts of the states for you. So it's like you don't know until you know, but then you can never unknow. The only trick is when you open this, see how it doesn't open all the way? It's always in your sight line. If you draw a line from this peak down to here, that's all in your sight line forever. There's nothing you can do other than take it off. It's pretty infuriating. I don't know why they couldn't open it a little more. I'm sure they have a reason. Maybe it's because smush this back down, and right there you see it's now touching evenly with the visor. This is the original visor. It's only been a year. That is the first pin lock. But saying it's the original visor, remember I rode with this for maybe 5 or 6 months. Now there's too much night riding. If we keep going down the helmet, you have vents. This has an external vent, which lets air in, and internally, I don't know if you can see it, but right here is another one. And what's cool is, say you're fogging up and you don't have a pin lock, this one down is open. This one up is not completely closed, but it shoots the air into the visor, and it works pretty okay for defogging. These are little red things inside, if you can see that. Forward is open, back is closed. Again, I leave it forward. I haven't noticed a huge difference with these. Some people do, I haven't. This is Sugru holding on my GoPro mount as it is on all my helmets. It covers the bottom vent right here, but it doesn't stop it from opening and closing. But I was very intentional when I put it on. I made sure to play with this every 10 minutes or so for the first few hours to make sure it would open and close freely. Again, this is a thing. I'm not saying you should do it. I'm not even telling you how to do it. That's your problem. This voids your warranty with Arai. Yes, helmets have warranties, but this voids your warranty. All this break-off stuff, you could argue this is going to catch in a crash and cause you some issues. But I used a really cheap one on Amazon, so it's almost easily broken. Again, I haven't crash tested it. Now, let's move down here to tell you the worst part of the helmet. I really actually hate this part. It's the chin curtain. Now, on the surface of it, close when you don't want it, open it when you do. It doesn't come to my chin. It doesn't seal anything off. If I tuck down to look at my smartphone, even just a little, because it's my GPS, let's just pinky finger, boop, almost closed. So it's useless, and there's no real chin curtain like on my other helmets. So it's a huge disappointment, and that is the one major reason this is not a year-round helmet for me. It might be for you. For some people it might be. It's not for me unless I make some kind of chin curtain to fix what Arai hasn't figured out. And again, it's weird because my wife's helmet has this and a real chin curtain. There's nothing even sold as an extra. Charge me $100 for it to be an extra, because you're crazy people. I'll look into getting it because then I can use this for the other 4 months of the year. And I can hear the British people out there is like, what? 4 months of cold? How dare you? But let's void some more warranties with another ratchet strap. It comes with a double D ring. Nothing wrong with a double D ring, but it's not convenient. And it's kind of like my Shoei has a ratchet similar to this. Once you're used to the ratchet, the D-ring is infuriating. So I actually have a couple of these that I bought. They're pretty strong, good plastic. I tested the strength out enough. These are used, even weaker versions of these are used on some helmets that are crash tested at well over 200. And if it's strong enough to break this, I'd rather it break, because if it doesn't break this, it breaks my neck. Double D-rings are supposed to fail at that point as well, but it's the stitching that fails. Again, weak by design. This voids my warranty. Arai, I know you guys take this personally. I'm sorry, but it's my helmet. You sold it to me. I'm not saying anyone should do this. I gotta be clear. Everything in my video, I am not saying anyone should do, but this one I like better than my Shoei's ratchet, because this one has the string, glove on, pull away. One-handed. Nothing to it. So, someone in an emergency needs to take it off, boom. Another weak point of the Arai is these pull-away cheek pads. They come tucked in the helmet, so you need to pull this off when you get your helmet, or at least with mine and my wife's. Maybe we both just had that luck, but you need to take it off, take these out, and put it back on, so people know to pull them off in a crash, so they don't have to snap your neck even further. A nice thing about these cheek pads is they come out relatively easy. So you pop the front. Here is the microphone. It's all run through because this is removable. The pads are removable. The pads can be adjusted by ripping thin layers off if it doesn't fit you right. But I ran this through, snaps right back in. Here is the mic cable for my YouTubing, and that's where this helmet gets most of its done. If you see my moto vlogs, it's this helmet. It's pretty good. I can leave these open, but there's enough sound dampening that the wind doesn't ruin it. I can leave the visor open. People seem to barely notice the difference. But that's this helmet. That's how I voided the warranty 3 times over. I think my stickers and my light clear paint, which you do have to cover the vents when you paint it. You'll ruin the foam if you don't. But I think that voided the warranty. So Arai's pretty picky about how they do things. And again, if you're not worried about any of those things I did, don't do it to yours. Keep your helmet as it is. One other thing is, on my Shoei, with the real chin curtain, I can put earbuds in, and the microphone, I can set it right here so it can talk. This won't work, so I put Velcro in it on both sides so I can stick the mic there. I personally don't use anything like Cardo or any of those because it doesn't seal in your ear. So I have those silicone earbuds that I can stick in. It works kind of like an earplug to keep the wind out. So I do that with all my helmets. It's way cheaper, way more replaceable, way more usable. Much better battery life with the Sony ones I have. Cheap, 4,000 yen. And the mic being so close to your face, the sound quality is about as good as what you're hearing right now. And I'm blocking out the wind, whereas I know a lot of those systems, you just have to turn the volume up over the wind. So it's just more hearing damage. I don't know, I haven't used them. Feel free to tell me what's wrong and why I'm stupid in the comments. The weather that I've used this in, I've only used this in Japan. So I've used it cold days, I've used it down to almost 0. I've had a bit of snow on it. I've had mountain weather, I've had ocean weather, I've had heavy winds. You do notice the peak if the wind's super heavy hitting you from the side, but if it's that heavy and it's enough to make you notice that much, you notice the whole bike is listing to the side. So that's maybe winds where you gotta stop or find cover. And this is Japan, we have typhoons. We're having a typhoon, but anything below 10 Celsius, I really don't like using this. I have to get a scarf or something and tuck it up in the chin to replace the chin curtain that doesn't exist. And again, it fogs up a lot because you only have about the center half of the screen covered by the pin lock. It doesn't do the whole job. It does enough, it makes it safe, but it makes me wonder why I'm not wearing my Shoei. And I've worn it up to 40. I haven't worn it hotter than that, but it's fine at those temperatures. Even in heavy Tokyo traffic, even sitting at lights on a 40-degree Celsius day, all the vents open or the visor even open, it's amazing. The only thing that makes it better is getting rid of this to let a little more wind in here and putting that tinted visor on just to stop the greenhouse effect. As for things I don't like about the helmet, I already told you about the chin curtain, which is essentially trash. It doesn't even need to be on here. They didn't even have to put it on. Is it possible mine's defective? Maybe, but why do other people have similar experiences? Again, maybe it's just me. As I said, the pin lock is going to be too small. It's going to scratch my helmet at least. The one other major fault, and this is a big my fault or the helmet's fault, I'm going to blame my parents because the answer is genetics. This helmet is very round, but if you know about helmets, that doesn't mean the inside is round. My Shoei is much more of an oval shaped helmet. This is extremely round. So it puts pressure right on the front of my forehead, enough that after 40 minutes, it was painful to wear. Again, I'm not saying you should do this. In fact, I'm saying you shouldn't. If you have this issue, the smart thing would be return the helmet, get a different helmet. But in Japan, most people have round heads, and Arai makes for that. In the States, it's more long oval. I think Europe too. So if you buy an Arai at double the price in the US, here, my head's a bit too long and oval, so I just took my finger and compressed the foam a little bit and then instantly rode, and every stop for a day just a little. And when I say a little, I do mean 1 or 2 millimeters. This is enough to say that Arai's not happy with this video. Now that I've said that on the video, that's gonna void my warranty too, but I voided it enough. It's a good helmet, it's gotten its mileage, but that's a thing. It was painful on the center, maybe a centimeter behind my hairline. That might be my head shape. That might be a Westerner buying a helmet in Japan, but I bought my Shoei in Japan and it was a perfect fit forever. Generally, I like the helmet. I'm happy with it for a second helmet because of all those issues I have with things like the chin curtain and such. I ride year round, I ride any weather. To me, this, the way it is not an any weather helmet unless you're one of those, I can ride in anything. I sat on a 2x4 on the back of a truck all the way from Tallahassee to Arkansas, whatever. For me, this is not a comfortable thing, especially when it's advertised as the everything-in-one helmet. Now, do I recommend it to you? Yes, if it's what you want. If you are a largely off-roader that needs to go on the road comfortably, this is not a loud helmet. It is not a quiet helmet. I would say if you have the loudest helmet in the world to the quietest helmet in the world, this is on the louder half, but not terrible. Again, I'm comparing it to a Shoei GT Air 2, which is one of the quietest helmets, but unlike my Shoei, I usually have ear protection with this. I won't go over 100 without ear protection on this helmet. Essentially, I would say this helmet as a second helmet, if you can afford these expensive Japanese helmets overseas, where they're double the price, it's your head. What's your head worth to you? My head's worth quite a bit to me. I would say this is a great helmet. I would say it's an amazing helmet. I would say it's perfect for me the way I've modified it and the fact that I have other helmets. If you like off-roading, but you have those long highway stints, this is probably the perfect helmet for you. But this is how it's been for me. And remember, all my modifications voided my warranty. I'll have my X-lite helmet coming up soon, and thank you for watching. This has been Kairyu Rider.